This is Fam Electric Ghost. This is episode 116 of our podcast. In this version of our podcast, as you can tell, we talk about Fam Electric Ghost music. We do a podcast where we interview indie artists from around the world. And tonight we're going to be interviewing a band called We Are Little Death. And their name is interesting. I'm going to talk to them about it because if people don't know, Little Death is a term from Tennyson, the great romantic poet. And it actually represents a concept from the Victorian age, from the Romantic age, of sexual intercourse, and low death is their kind of hidden term for having an orgasm, which is interesting that a band named themselves that. I'm hoping that that's what they are intending with that name, but you never know. But that's to a second point. Like, that's what we do. We interview indie artists from around the world. You can listen to our show where we do that. And we're going to be talking to We Are a Little Death tonight at 8 o'clock. It won't be published until after we finish the interview, but later tonight, Eastern Standard Time, probably around 10 p.m., we're going to have that conversation. But episode 116 is about the road to Dark Ghost, which Dark Ghost is a series of Fam Electric Ghost albums, and that's PEG is Fam Electric Ghost. We use the PEG term sometimes. Not trying to talk about a Steely Dan record, but PEG is Fam Electric Ghost. And Dark Ghost is a series of records, what we've been working on for the last 2 years. We decided to put it under this concept of Dark Ghost in multiple volumes. Volume 1 is available on Digger's Factory Records for a pre-order. It's a 2-vinyl project. I did the artwork. And it's over 50 minutes long, shorter than what I wanted it to be. Original version of Dark Ghost, it's on SoundCloud, is over 2 hours long. It's a very, interesting project. It's a bunch of songs that have this kind of theme of disconnected anomie, social dissonance, and it's kind of what it's focused on. It had a lot of issues in the last year. My father died from Alzheimer's, had a breakup of a partnership, had another death in the family. My brother's first wife died from MS. And then my beautiful parakeet that we had for 10 years died, natural causes. And so, it's just been a frustrating year. But on top of all these things that were bad, some good things happened. We got our Moog D-Fam, drummer from Another Mother. We got our OPZ. We got our Eurorack with a Make Noise Maths module, Make Noise Morphogene. So we got all these cool, we got Arturia Mini Brute 2S. We got our newest studio electronics microphone. We got our VT4 vocal transformer. So in terms of recording, we were having a big year this year with a lot of really good technology we've added to our studio. And the OPZ from Teenage Engineering has been a real big focal point. We've been using it very heavily on all of our new songs in the last week and a half. And what we've gone and done is I've done poetry for years. When I was in high school, I did a lot of poetry, and I was in college. I self-published 2 books, a book called Paparazia, it's a collection of poetry and short stories, and then a book called Cancer, which was a book that contained poems that were talking about social issues as microcosm and macrocosm levels of cancer being a type of pathology on a societal and individual level. And then I created a collection of poetry. It was supposed to be my 3rd poetry book called Dancing and Drowning in the Shallow Waters, and it never got published. I'm thinking of publishing it. And so I've been using the OPZ and taking some of the cancer poetry, the published collection, and then the unpublished collection of Dancing and Drowning in the Shallow Waters, which I have done. Some songs have been created from this. There's actually a title track, Dancing and Drowning in the Shallow Waters, on SoundCloud from a couple of years back. And there's some other tracks that have been inspired by those poems. But these are 2 new ones. So Adrift and Never Knowing Her Soul are actually 2 poems. There's a poem called Adrift, and there's a poem called Never Knowing Her Soul. Sometimes with these poems, what I do is I combine them. I take, so Adrift is a short, low poem. It's not that long, and then Never Knowing Her Soul is a little longer. And so I combined both of those poems to create the song, and then I used the OPZ to create the music. I actually used the OPZ first and just created a bunch of tracks using the OPZ, which is a little mini workstation, which is very powerful. I've talked about it before, but it's a very tiny little synth the size of a TV remote that allows you to just build a song from scratch. And I think I've talked about it before. I'll talk about it again. You can do like a kick, a snare, a cymbal as separate tracks. You can do a sample effect track, which right now just has samples that were loaded. I think it has some of Cuckoo's samples in here. He's on the internet, big internet guy. He's done like 2 hours of reviews on how to use this thing, which I've heavily used to figure out how to use it. There's a bass track. And then each track has multiple sound engines that you can call. And the OPZ actually has set up so it has like a single octave keyboard with the black and white keys as little buttons, but they're not as piano buttons, but they're set up like a keyboard. So you can actually play chords on it, maybe just three finger chords, not 4 or 5, which maybe they'll allow us to do 5 finger chords later. But you can use that. And then there's a lead track, and there's a synth engine where you can pick the lead. And sometimes the lead is polyphonic and sometimes it's monophonic, depending on which patch you take. And there's our arpeggiator, and you can put down the 3 finger chords to do that, or just 1 finger to invoke it. And there's different sound engines you can apply to that. There's a chord section specifically for chords that you can do the 3 fingered chords. And then there's an effect processing on line 1 and line 2, which I believe you can apply to channels. But I'm trying to figure out if it just applies to the whole thing. Then you have a tape loop capability. It takes all the tracks and then allows you to kind of do DJ morphing with the filter controls. And this thing has like 4 rotary dials, like green, blue, yellow, and red. And each one does different things. So in some modes, it's controlling the volume, it's controlling the filter, it's controlling the envelope, it's controlling the LFO, it's controlling effects, it's controlling pitch, it's controlling tempo. Different things it can control. Yeah, they control tape loop with different functions, so you become like a DJ scratcher. And set up like you can pop little Lego set things into it. The way the OPZ is like the OP1, and you can actually use Lego technique pieces and adapt this. I think I've seen people actually take the robot Lego kit, Mindstorm, and then have it actually run the dials on the OP1. You could do the same thing on this. If you hooked up in a Mindstorm robot, you could actually have it running random programs on turning these dials, which is kind of interesting. It would be cool for performance to see that work, but you probably want to override it in some cases. So there you also have this thing on the OPZ where you have these sub steps, or not just sub steps. It's this other concept of we're getting back into the manual because I'm having a brain fart. You have this, step components. Yeah, step components. All right, step components are very interesting. When you go into step mode on this thing, for each track, you can apply it seems to be like unlimited step components. And just to go through it, you can add a pulse hold, a multiply, a velocity, a ramp up, a ramp down, a random, a glide, a sweep, tonality, a jump, a parameter spark, component spark, and trigger spark. Now, it would be good if they actually went into a little more depth of what these actually do. But sometimes you just play with them and you see what they do. But you can be really crazy and apply it like every step, every one of these things to one step. And then you can go onto the app where you connect it to your iPhone, and you can actually visually see all the steps that were applied. And you see a workflow of which ones can be applied and chained together and which ones can't. Which would still be interesting to understand why some of them can or cannot be chained together. But regardless, this thing allows you to do very complex beats. And I like it in terms, I like to play with it like a Moog. I like to run the filters and play the filters and record it. I'll record a patch I'll put together a song because you have this chain pattern capability to chain patterns together and then make a song. Some cases I found that where I only want to take a couple of seconds of a song, a pattern, and go between one and the other. And what I found is like you have to chain the patterns and they kind of run through the whole thing. I think you can. And then what I found is like, okay, like if I want to do it more like a DJ and just kind of skip around, I'll connect it to my MX1 mixer from Roland, which is a performance mixer. And I'll bring it in, run effects on it or whatever, run the dry, no effects, and then record it live into an R24 Zoom. And that way, if I want to just take a couple seconds of a pattern and then switch to another pattern, I can live record my track by hooking up the OPZ and then live playing it like a DJ. If you see Cuckoo playing it live as an example, I kind of play it live and then record it. And then in that way, I have total control what sections I'm doing live in real time. And then I'll record it and then I'll overdub. And in some cases, what I've done is I've done with these songs like ADRIFT and Anneileise is I've recorded it live and then done overdubs of like a Moog Mother 32 or a System 1M synth from Roland or a Juno, and then playing overdub tracks. And then I'll overdub the vocals with my Studio Electronics microphone and my VT4 vocal transformer or my VT3. VT4 is more interesting because you can do harmony and it's polyphonic and has more controls over what you can do, and it does sound different than the VT3. But in some cases, I do still like the VT3. Does have some tones, even though it's monophonic, on the vocals that seem to be a little different. It's not exactly a clone. The VT4 is not exactly a clone of VT3. VT3, there's certain things about it when you're using some of the auto pitch and some of the other controls that it seems to behave differently for the megaphone, behave differently, sound different. So there's a good, having both is cool because in certain cases I've had Josephine voices I've created with the VT3 that I still appreciate and go back to the VT3 to use. For the VT4, I've used, created some pretty good phantom vocals with it. Its bypass control does add a lot of life to the microphone, just running through its capability that it sounds really good for the Ghost. And I've used it for the Ghost and for Stephanie Ann Winhover, who Stephanie is Josephine's sister. Again, for those who don't know, Phantom Electric Ghost is just a one-person band in my project, Keith Gittins Jones, my real name. And I'm Phantom Electric Ghost, and I play characters with these vocoders. Originally used the JDXI vocoder from the JDXI hybrid analog digital synth. And then I got the VT3 this year and been using that. And now I have the VT4. So I've got three different vocoders that I'm able to use to create these characters. And I live record these vocals through these VT modules or through the JDXI. And it's been kind of like our whole stagecraft is the ability to create these characters. And I've done a lot of significant work on using vocoders as lead vocals in my music. And I know some people feel it's cheating, but I'm not using them in a traditional sense. In some cases, I'm not doing auto-tune on Josephine a lot. I mean, in the last couple of months, I've been doing some auto-tune with Josephine just to add some capabilities. But most of the time, Josephine is not auto-tune affected. She's just, a character that's created from these synth engines or these modules, these ARIA modules from Roland. So we get into ADRIFT. ADRIFT, was a poem that I wrote back in the day. Just going and getting my collection of poems. And I said it's like Dancing and Drowning in the Shallow Waters is a big collection of poetry that we, it's probably, it's one of our core collections of stuff that we put together a long time ago. But now I'm not finding it. But now I found it. Yeah. So let's talk about, we'll actually talk about Anneileise, because I'm not finding ADRIFT. Let's see if I can find ADRIFT. Okay, we didn't find ADRIFT, but we'll get into, that's all right. We found two of the poems that we can talk about. Little brain fart when you got paper all over the place. So we'll talk about Anneileise, and we'll talk about some of the poems that were used. So Anneileise uses two poems, this poem Anneileise and Attractive Renoir. Okay, so the poem Anneileise, this is the exact poem. Anneileise, sunshine, starlight, sunrise. Anneileise, dawn, dusk, dark of night. Illuminated sensuality, tiger-like symmetry, Anneileise, the fire in thy eyes. Now, when I actually did the song, I kind of took these lyrics and kind of, these poetic verses and transformed them into the song by adjusting or, taking them and putting them into the song where I felt it would work. The fire in thy eyes line wasn't used. So I didn't use that line. But then what I also did is I took this other poem called Attractive Renoir, and I did do some liberty with some freeform kind of stream of consciousness that I brought in. But this is the other poem, Attractive Renoir. Subtle glances become longing stares. Excuse my eyes, darling. I was taken back by the glare. The sun seems to shine through you. No poetry ever written could be as true. I actually use all those lines, and they come in and out of the song Anneileise. And can't find the other two poems. I'll have to come back and talk about those. But yeah, that's the example. Of like those are the poems, and then I bring them in through the kind of the stream of consciousness concept of figuring out how to take those lines and apply them to the music. And that's pretty much what was done with this recording. And so we will, finish here. But let everybody know, it's like Dark Ghost Volume 1 is available on Digger's Factory. We'd appreciate it if you guys check it out, and it would be cool. We got a lot of fans here that listen to us, but if you want to really help support us, you've been listening to us for a while, we'd appreciate it if you pre-order Dark Ghost Volume 1. And we do have our Cancer Book of Poetry. For those who do pre-order, we will send you, as long as supplies last, of a copy of Cancer. So those early adopters who sign up and actually pre-order, we will get you a copy of Cancer. So let us, we'll check your order. We'll see who you are. We'll get your information, and then we'll contact you. But if you let us know that you ordered it, you can send us a voice memo here, and we'll sync it up with your order and get your information and get that book out to you. So thank you very much. This is Van Electric Ghost signing off.
I'm train.